It's a part 2. Maybe you should watch part 1. You don't have to. You're smart, you'll get the gist quick.
And this is an image showing a painting from 1535 when several sun halos of different sizes appeared in the skies because they were testing the equipment to draw these sun halos.
It's really like this with every claim, isn't it? I don't know how sun halos work. Therefore, there was equipment they were building in the sky in 1535 and they had to test it, so they made weird sun halos that somebody painted. You know, the first thought I had was to show you the Google search results for multiple sun halos, because I thought maybe your confusion was, yeah, they painted this weird thing in 1535 and it's never been seen again because they were testing it then. But then I realized, no, you probably are perfectly aware these are still a thing. But because you don't know how they work, you think that therefore that means in 1535 they installed a sky simulator. This is another thing that's especially weird for a physicist, by the way. I mean, this is a physical phenomenon. This is smack dab in the realm of things that you should understand. Like, I've never gone to school for physics, but I would have thought that if you did, you would have done a few basic experiments with light and shit. Seems kind of fundamental.
So you can see they didn't have central light sources like the ones nowadays that we have do.
Oh, okay, so you think the sun halo simulator just wasn't working properly yet. So you've got an awful lot of underlying assumptions here. The main one is that the painter painted this exactly as it actually appeared in the sky, and that comes with a whole set of underlying assumptions. First, that the painter actually saw it with his own eyes, or if he didn't, that the person who commissioned the painting saw it with their own eyes, and remembered it accurately and described it accurately. Second, that, say, the atmospheric conditions weren't just right in one part of the sky, but not all of the sky, because that could lead to a lopsided effect. Although what you're complaining about is that it doesn't have a central circle. Well, again, search multiple sun halos and you'll see plenty without a central circle. Circles connected to each other, overlapping each other, with no one center shared by all of them. And possibly the biggest assumption is that you know the intention of the artist. I mean, you're treating this as if the goal was to create some sort of accurate scientific diagram of an optical phenomenon, not a piece of art. You don't have to take everything so literally. People can be a little fanciful. To drive home the cumulative effect of all these assumptions, let me show you this picture I took of a painting on the ceiling of a monastery in northern Italy of an elephant. And we're going to stick with all your assumptions. The artist knew exactly what it looked like. It wasn't just some frantic retelling from someone who might have even heard it from someone else, and then from someone else, and so on. And his only intention while painting it was to produce a reliable scientific record of this animal so that people would know what it looked like in detail. And so we would have to believe that back when this painting was made, elephants had the body type of dogs, webbed ears, hooves, a vulva for a mouth, and for some reason were simultaneously as long as a man and also able to carry 3 men on their back. The elephant, ladies and gentlemen, as it accurately appeared in 1535. There are so many problems with this way of interpreting historical art that I probably didn't get them all, but I think I've made the point.
They were just practicing drawing the circles in order to cover up Planet X, and these brighter spots seem to be markers telling their computer system where to start and where to end the drawing of the circles.
They seem to be that, do they? Seem to be that based on what? Your imagination? There's no sign in that image of a computer, that this has anything to do with a computer. I mean, it looks for all the world like an understandably slightly inaccurate 500-year-old depiction of an atmospheric ice crystal effect, but apparently it seems to depict markers for a computer system. You're just jumping all over the place today.
And you can see one of the web cameras which caught on this day, 14 January 2018, the sky remaining dark until at least 10 a.m. because the sky projection system was not working that day. It just froze in this position where we can see a shooting star in the sky.
Okay, so the image on the website that shows the images from this webcam that I think takes a picture about every 10 minutes was frozen for a while. In fact, I've gone to the website, it was frozen from January 13th, not just the 14th, from about 10 o'clock at night, and the 14th is entirely missing. It probably wasn't when you made the video, but now it is. And we're not talking about any reasons why that might be. You've already decided why that is, because the sky projector wasn't working that day. And I suppose that's one hypothesis, sure. Maybe there really is a big old projector up there, and the image of the shooting star really was frozen in the sky all day, and the sun really never rose all day. And all the pictures from the 14th were deleted to cover it up, even though they didn't delete the ones from the 13th. And nobody talked about it for some reason. Nobody noticed. That's one possibility. Another one, of course, would be that sometimes technology is a bitch, and some poor employee had to spend his 14th of January 2018, which was a Sunday, waking up to a call that, hey, man, listen, you gotta come in, the server's buggered, the stupid image isn't updating, I don't know what's going on. And he had to drag himself out of bed and spend all day dealing with that. I've been there. I feel his pain. Computers suck sometimes, especially when you're the guy that has to fix them. I find it interesting that the idea of a sky simulator breaking and some poor tech guy having to fix that makes sense to you, but the idea of some server somewhere breaking, nah.
But the photographs are clearly different. This one's from 8:20, this one's from 10 a.m. But this one had more stars than that one. So you can see there's one star, 2 stars, 1 star, 2 stars. But there's a star there that is not there.
Well, I see what you mean, but I have this really bad habit of being the kind of person who goes and checks this stuff myself. So here's the original image in full quality. And you can see, if I put them side by side, it's an awful lot different from your image. Now, it's clearly the same shot, but the quality is significantly higher. And if I flip through the hours that it was stuck on that website, it looks exactly the same. So why do your versions look so different from each other and from this one? Well, you have a really bad habit of taking stuff from videos from idiot conspiracy theorists who don't know how to work cameras, let alone video editors, and you're screenshotting YouTube videos, which have pretty bad compression at the best of times. Now, I don't know for a fact that you took this from a YouTube video. You haven't cited where you took it from. Maybe this was your original discovery. Maybe you went to this website yourself and screenshotted it right off of there. I doubt it, but maybe. If you did, I don't know how you managed to screw it up this bad, but somehow you did. Isn't image compression a real bastard? You probably don't even know what those words mean, do you?
There's 2 stars here, and they're not there.
All right, enough spot the differences. Get to the point.
And that the sky is a simulation, because that's the only way that the shooting star could remain in place between 8:20 and 10 a.m. and not move from that position.
Is there some kind of opposite principle to Occam's razor these people follow? Like, instead of looking for simpler explanations and thinking those are more likely true, they look for the most complex one possible and immediately believe it? It really seems like it. I mean, that's the running theme with every one of these claims. I don't understand how you can manage to even get through your day like that. Like, imagine that you wake up, you gotta go to work, you're looking for your keys, you can't find them, so you assume, oh my god, the aliens came and teleported my keys to the Andromeda galaxy. I'll never get them back. The aliens are determined to make me lose my job. And you call up your boss in tears and you say, I'm sorry, the aliens, they won't let me have my job, I have to quit, I'm so sorry. And you go cry in the bathroom for 3 weeks. It sounds like something nobody would ever do, but that's what she's doing right now, just with a different claim.
Because of course we know that the Earth rotates.
Bollocks, we all know the Earth is flat.
So it's impossible for a shooting star to remain in place. Well, it's impossible for a shooting star to remain in place even if the Earth was not rotating. Because shooting stars are supposed to be meteors streaking across the atmosphere.
Good thing you corrected yourself. You wouldn't want to make a stupid mistake.
And here's another example. This is what Orion looks like on our charts. And apparently it appeared... We only see 2 of the stars here. When I look at article 1429, there were actually 4 stars. 1, 2, 3, and 4 seen in the sky, which were not supposed to be there. And so it shows that basically the sky is a projection system, and they get it wrong all the time because some of the planets in the stars, just like there were 2 projections to produce those 2 chemtrails, they seem to have some of the planets, they actually use spacecraft to do it, so on, and they keep messing it up, so it's not right for all observers.
All right, so it says the Orion constellation in the sky with 4 stars below it that should not have been there. The 4 stars below Orion seem to be at least as bright as Safe. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. But do not appear anywhere on a standard star chart. That's an interesting assertion. So again, Mr. MBB333. I went over to the video, looked at it, here's the relevant clip, and it's panning up. Not all the stars are in the shot at the same time, so I pieced it together so that they are. And then I put it on top of a star chart. Now, these charts are very similar to maps of the Earth. With maps of the Earth, you have all these different kinds of map projections that preserve different aspects of the truth, I guess you would say. Because the problem is with the Earth, sure, you can represent it accurately on a globe. That's a 3D object. But you want to represent it on a 2D surface. Well, something's got to give. So you have to pick and choose what matters to you. You have to develop a projection that preserves the aspects that are useful to you and sacrifices the ones that aren't as useful to you. And it's the same with the sky. It's also a 3D object. Point being, the stars aren't going to line up 100% perfectly, but you will get the idea. So this should make it a lot more clear what you're actually seeing here. The top shoulder of Orion, Orion's belt, Orion's skirt, whatever that's supposed to be. Why did I say the top shoulder? Hey, I like your bottom shoulder. And below that, you have Lepus, and over to the left, you have kind of the chest foreleg area of Canis Major. So which stars aren't supposed to be here? Because these all seem perfectly normal. And if this person's photograph had an unexpected light in the sky, again, how does that lead you to therefore the sky as a projection system? You realize that a logical argument needs a middle, right? You can't just have premise one, conclusion. It doesn't work like that.
And here's another example. This is a rainbow in the sky. A rainbow is supposed to be always in line with the observer, always centered around the observer. This one clearly not, because the camera, it's on the right side of the camera in both images.
I know a lot of people have been knocking their heads on their desks this whole video, but a few people just broke their desks. Claudia, I want you to think back 50 years to the last time you were actually outside, and think about any rainbows you might have seen. What happened when you tilted your head, or say, looked up and down, or right to left? What happened? Did the rainbow move wildly across the landscape to stay centered in your line of sight? No, obviously not. So why should this one move around wildly when this person tilts their camera? It's exactly the same thing. Come on now, physicist. It seems to me there's two things at play here. For one, this seems to be something that only someone who's never set foot outside their house could actually believe. So there's the influence of that very strange but increasingly likely possibility. And second, it's almost right. Like, I think you heard someone say something about rainbows having something to do with the position of the observer, and for some reason, unquestioningly, you interpreted that to mean that it remains centered in their vision, which literally anyone who's ever seen one knows is false. What the rainbow's actually centered on is the line that would be drawn from the sun to the observer, extended beyond the observer away from the sun. That is to say, the rainbow is a certain number of degrees off the exact opposite direction of the sun from you. So if you drew a real long-ass line from the center of the sun through the center of your head and just extended that forward from you infinitely, that's the line that's going to be the center of the rainbow. And that line doesn't change just because you look around. It'll change if you move a significant distance away, which is not going to happen fast enough to really notice the change unless you're going wicked fast, but not just from tilting your head around or your phone around.
It's on the right side of the camera in both images. And that's impossible.
Then why is it, physicist, that when I go to YouTube and look up rainbows, literally every single one of them appears stationary relative to the landscape, not to the camera?
Full on double rainbow all the way across the sky. Oh my god.
Are they all just holograms generated by the sky projector, Claudia? There hasn't been a real rainbow since 1535 when they built the sky hologram thing?
And it's a double rainbow. The center is not completely transparent, which means they have a little bit of trouble with that. Of course, a real rainbow will be completely transparent in the center.
No, it wouldn't. That's not true of any rainbow, Claudia. That's not true just by nature of what a rainbow is. Like, I would go outside right now and take my garden hose and put it on the mist setting and show you, but unfortunately I live in Alberta, and it still freezes here every night and some days, so I've kind of got to keep the hose winterized. But you know what? If you were the curious scientist type, which, despite apparently being a physicist, I know for sure you're not, you might just go outside, pick up a hose, make some mist, and test it yourself. It's really not that hard. Little kids do this every day, which could mean that it's beyond your level. Whatever, though, I'll let some people on YouTube show you.
I'm just wondering what the heck is in our water supply? What the heck is in our oxygen supply of the metallic oxide salts that create a rainbow effect in a sprinkler?
Pretty cool, huh?
There you go. You see how it's kind of whitish inside? Everything looks brighter inside the circle than it does outside? Well, that's because a rainbow is not just a few distinct bands of separate colors. It's the cumulative effect of all the colors present in the white light from the sun being separated by refraction inside millions of raindrops. Of course, the amount of refraction varies by wavelength. And then that light is reflected back towards the observer at somewhat different angles off the line from the sun to the observer. And in that narrow band, which is what people would call the rainbow, even though that's not the entire phenomenon, each color of light that you see is almost pure. Not quite pure, there's still some amount of all the other colors in there, but almost pure. But beyond the angle where you see violet, towards the center of the rainbow, the phenomenon of a single color of visible light dominating stops. The levels are much more even, and so what you see is white. That is a transparent haze of all the colors at roughly similar brightness, which isn't all that noticeable. People don't really talk about it that much, but it does make everything look a little bit brighter inside the circle than it does outside the circle. And this is true of every rainbow, Claudia. Again, try going outside sometime. You know, after everything I talk about in this video, I want to ask, how the hell are you a physicist and still confused about this? But how many times can I ask that? I want to ask it, I just feel like I'm repeating myself.
The actual rainbow is the actual effect that's picked up by the eye, and is supposed to be around a cone with the apex centered on the eyes of the observer. We don't have that here.
Yes, we do. What are you talking about? I searched for kind of the phrasing that you used, and this is what I came up with. A mathematical nature walk. The supplement of this angle in degrees is the semi-angle of the rainbow cone, formed with apex at the observer's eye, the axis being along the line joining the eye to the antisolar point. So let me try to use a little diagram so you can get the point. All right, here's the sun. We're going to draw him nice and big, and we're going to put little happy eyes on him like this. Little smiley face. That makes him way cuter. And if it's cuter, it's easier to understand. You're going to have some nice rays like this. Make him look real bright and shiny. Oh, isn't that cute? Now, we need our observer. Let's see. We'll just draw a little happy little guy right here. Now we'll put some eyes on him. Body and some legs. And he's real excited today. He's having a nice day out. He doesn't have the coronavirus. He lives back in the times of the Spanish flu when things were simpler. And now we're going to draw a happy little line right from, we'll give the sun a little nose, and then we'll draw it right from his nose, right through this guy's eye, and all the way through the earth like that. Pretend that's a straight line. And then we're going to draw ourselves a happy little cone. Now, the apex is going to be right at this guy's eye, and it's going to come out. I can't draw straight. Let me try that again. It's going to come out like this. Oh, that's terrible. Like this. And this angle from here to here, that's going to be between 41, 42 degrees. And so the rainbow that you see, I'm not going to put all the colors. I'll just put red. There's going to be the rainbow along the edge of that cone. And it continues down here, but here's the ground. So what was it you said? The apex at the observer's eye, the axis goes through here. That's what that math book says. And so if we erase the eye of our little guy there, and we, instead of drawing it there, let's make it, say, blue. There we go. Instead of him looking this way, he's now looking straight at us, like this, with his two little eyes like that. The apex of the cone, that's still going to be at his eyes, but he's not going to see the rainbow in our direction. We're not where the rainbow is now. The rainbow's off to his left still. So he can turn his head. He can turn back to look at the rainbow, and the rainbow will enter his field of view from the left. And once he's finally looking straight at it, straight down this line or straight this way, then he will actually see the rainbow full on in the center of his vision. Did I make that simple enough for a physicist? Probably not, but I tried.
This is a holographic projection. You can see they can project whatever they want in the skies. They just cannot do it perfectly.
How much longer? 4 minutes? All right, so in terms of my video, only about 50 more minutes. Sure.
And now, it is possible that certain metallic particles in the atmosphere facilitate the holographic projections.
Metallic oxide salts that create a rainbow effect in a sprinkler.
However, if they needed to spray these, they would do so from their cloaked ships, which they had in the atmosphere thousands of years ago, and certainly in 1535. And as you could see, they were drawing those sun halos in 1535.
Drawing sun halos in 1535 does not imply, therefore, they had cloaked sky ships in 1535. Oh my god! The leaps, they never end!
And the chemtrail planes were seen because aliens wanted them to be seen. They wanted people to think that the chemtrails are the cause for the diseases and lack of air quality and the increasing amount of heavy metals, fungus, and nuclear fallout, which is all coming in as part of the Planet X debris field.
Wait, so if they want you to believe in chemtrails, and you're trying to convince us to believe in chemtrails, are you the they? Claudia, how much are the reptoids paying you? Wait, that's me. I know exactly how much you make, and it's far too much. You're demoted.
because they did the same thing on those planets that they are now doing here.
And I'll let you read the rest of that yourself. Something, something evil scheme. But who is behind this evil scheme to make people pay for plane tickets, and why are they doing it? Well, I found the answer in video 1397. I'll let Claudia explain.
Now, only one person would come up with such a diabolical idea: place anti-gravity engines on airplanes and then make people pay for chemtrails and holographic projection aerosols in order to keep them deceived as he goes about destroying their planet and their solar system. The one who would think of such a thing is, of course, the father of lies himself.
So Satan is pretending that airplanes run on fuel so he can make you pay more for plane tickets, because otherwise I guess he just couldn't find a way to pay for his chemtrails and holograms, which he needs because something something Planet X. That is honestly the lamest evil plan I've ever heard. That's like a D-tier Marvel villain, and the only reason he's not F-tier is because he's got kind of a cool costume.
Comets are basically Planet X coming in. And amongst all the effects is a cow with two heads, indicative of genetic mutations occurring as a result of nuclear fallout, coming in as part of the Planet X debris that constantly falls through our atmosphere.
And yet again, another relatively small misunderstanding leading to a very flawed belief system. Mutations could never occur unless life is like a Fallout game, and a two-headed cow is a mutant, which it's actually not. It's the same thing as Siamese twins. But Claudia doesn't care about distinctions, and therefore comets are Planet X's spraying nuclear fallout all over the world, and making two-headed mutant Fallout cows. What else have we got here? We got something about the fires in California and how they look like volcanoes. I have an entire video about that, so I'm not even going to talk about it. If you want to hear me talk about this stuff, it's somewhere on my video page.
In conclusion, the powers that be continue to sell lies in order to cover up Planet X and its effects, to the point of producing the fake geoengineering program so that humanity could blame it instead of realizing what is actually going on, which is that the solar system is being destroyed by Planet X.
They made a fake geoengineering program to take the blame. Did you talk about that before in this video? Did I miss something? You know what? I don't care. You're probably talking about climate change or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's just get to the end.
The jet engine is an anti-gravity engine. The technology is some 70 years old now. Jet engines do not require any fuel, and there are no fuel tanks in the wings. The powers that be are running a fuel scam on the world's population.
See, I wasn't exaggerating. The evil plot really is as boring as they'll pay more for plane tickets this way. Now that I think about it, that video had a real disappointing lack of jet fuel content, didn't it? I was hoping for more of that, but instead I got fucking rainbows. How do they work? It was a jarring transition. I actually am still not quite sure what the relevance of rainbows and volcanoes and forest fires is to jet fuel. But that's pretty normal for Claudia Albers. Half the time she changes thoughts in the middle of a sentence. Changing thoughts in the middle of a video is no problem. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. At least I had a lot of fun with that one, so I'm satisfied. Didn't really mean for it to be a two-parter, but it just stretched on and on and on. Do me a favor, if you liked it, subscribe, give it a like, share it around. Watch my other videos, share them around too. Stay healthy, please don't listen to Claudia, don't go to church, and I'll see you around the wasteland.
When was the world created?
Oh,
1960.
6,000 years ago or something?
1964?
It's 1972.
Yeah.
1972, of course it's 1972, dumbass. 1964, that's ludicrous.